You people don't belong here." The words dripped with disdain as Emma, the young white waitress at Avalon's fine dining in Chicago, glared at Leona Carter. Alleys in the bustling restaurant shifted. Leona, a beautiful black woman in her late 20s, visibly pregnant, sat quietly by the window. Her dress clung to her swollen belly, her eyes calm yet unreadable. She didn't respond. Instead, her fingers traced the wedding band on her left hand, a subtle symbol of protection, though no one here noticed. Emma didn't care. To her, Leona was just another outsider who didn't deserve this luxurious place. But what Emma didn't know was exactly who Leona was married to and what was about townfold in this restaurant. Emma's heels clicked across the polished floor as she turned with a tall glass of water. The smirk on her face deepened as she approached the table. "Since you can't afford real food," she sneered, lifting the glass high. Before Leona could speak, cold water cascaded down her head, soaking her hair and dress. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Leona's hands instinctively cradled her belly, her expression unchanged, eerily calm. The other diners froze, some pulling out phones, others whispering. Emma chuckled, turning away. But then a sharp cough from behind silenced everything. Two men in dark suits stood by the entrance. Their eyes locked onto Leona. Their presence was as cold, calculated, and terrifyingly familiar to anyone with street smarts. Emma frowned, confused by the sudden stillness. The Matrayi, pale as a ghost, rushed past her toward the suited men. Whispers filled the air. That's John Carter's crew." Emma's breath caught. John Carter. The name every newspaper in Chicago whispered. The mano one dared cross. Her eyes darted back to Leona. Recognition finally hitting her like a freight train. The wedding ring, the subtle confidence, the silence. It all made sense. Panic prickled her skin. But it was too late. John Carter himself stepped through the doorway, his presence commanding, dangerous, and heartbreakingly focused on his drenched, humiliated wife. Emma's knees buckled slightly. She realized she hadn't insulted a random woman. She had just humiliated the queen of Chicago's underworld. The restaurant stood frozen. John didn't yell. He didn't raise a hand. He simply approached Leona, brushing a stray lock of wet hair from her cheek with the tenderness of a man who ruled the city's darkest corners and adored his wife. His eyes, however, turned to steel as they met Emma. But instead of fury, a killing smile curled his lips. The manager stammered, nearly tripping over himself. "Sir, we had no idea." John's gaze never left Emma. His words, low and measured, silenced the room. Ignorance has consequences. Emma's hands trembled as the manager whispered in her ear. Within seconds, her apron and name tag were stripped away. The once confident waitress stood exposed, humiliated, knowing she had just destroyed her life. Leona rose slowly, her soaked dress clinging to her form. She said nothing, offering Emma a calm, almost pitying glance before slipping her arm through Jay's. The suited men flanked them as they exited, their restaurant parting like the sea. No shouting, no violence, just silent, suffocating power. The manager rushed after them, apologizing profusely. But John raised a hand, one subtle gesture that froze everyone. The only thing left was Emma's shaky breathing and the crushing weight of realization. The whispers began before the door even closed. "That's his wife." She poured water on his wife. Emma collapsed into a chair, numb. Across the window, John's car disappeared into the city night. Leona's silence that would haunt her far longer than revenge ever could.